I'm sure you've heard the saying, or at least somebody may have told you at some point in your life, have a little faith. And we often think of faith as something that happens within us, that it is something we more or less conjure up or we feel confident about, but it's all taking place within our hearts or within our minds. I want us to talk about how faith requires you and I to open our mouths. My name is Kwame Rubadiri, and you are watching CITAM Church Online. There's a story in the Old Testament, in the book of Daniel, and those of you who are good students and paid attention during Sunday school will remember the story about three boys. They were good friends of Daniel, they were Hebrews, and they were in exile in Babylon. They refused to bow to a golden image erected by the famous king Nebuchadnezzar. Now, because of their refusal, the punishment for not obeying the king's edict or command was to be thrown into a fiery furnace. And as a result of their refusal to bow to this particular object, this particular idol, they were taken before the king, and the king warned them that, if you don't do this, you're going to be thrown into the fiery furnace. Now, what happened next is a powerful image for us, an example for us about how faith actually works. And we'll discover later on that this is something that Jesus wanted us to do as well. Well, this is what happened as these three young men responded to the king's command that they bow down or be thrown into the fire. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and this is reading from Daniel chapter 3, verses 16 to 18. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to him, King Nebuchadnezzar, "We do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it, and he will deliver us from your majesty's hand." Verse 18 says, "But even if he does not, we want you to know, your majesty, we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold that you have set up." And obviously, the king's response was absolute rage and fury that he could be spoken to not only in this way, but that his command could be completely disobeyed and opposed. Well, the three boys are thrown into the fire, and we know the story, those of you good students of the Bible. There was a fourth man in the fire, and Nebuchadnezzar himself said, he looks like one of the sons of the gods. He looks like somebody who's not of this earth. And of course, the three boys were delivered. Not even the smell of fire was upon them. Here's the lesson about why it's so important when we have faith in God to open our mouths. That's exactly what these guys did. They spoke their confidence in God to the opposition that was right in front of them. They could have gone and said to the king, please allow us to go and pray. We want to go and pray to our gods. Or they could have just simply kept their mouths closed and been thrown into the fire. But they spoke about their confidence in God. They relayed what was going on in their hearts, what was going on in their whole lives, that they had faith in God not only to deliver them from the fiery furnace, but also from the king's influence and from his power. They went on to say, and this is really what the miracle of faith is all about, is that even if God doesn't do this, we're still not going to bow to this image. Our faith needs to be expressed in such a way that we are not putting God in a box. We're not trying to limit him to do a certain thing, to answer us in a certain way. We're simply saying that we believe him because he's God, and we're going to trust him to do the right thing for us. And of course, these young men were delivered. If they hadn't been, theirs would have been a powerful witness of the fact that they put far more confidence in God than in any power of man. Here's my encouragement. When God gives you something to put your confidence in, or he says something about how he wants to bless your life, vocalize that. Verbalize it, speak it, and let it be known even to others that you put your confidence in God. And watch God, in response to what you say, do something powerful. In Mark chapter 11, Jesus says this to his disciples, "If you say to this mountain, be removed and be thrown into the sea, it will happen just as you say." Because you and I believe in the power of God above all other powers. That's my encouragement to us today. Some of us have not opened our mouths. Some of us have not verbalized our confidence and our faith in God. And that might be the one thing that will turn your situation around and produce the power of God manifested physically in your life. God bless you.